All right. Good morning. It is Takedown Tuesday. Guys, I'm excited. It feels like Monday, so I'm trying to get my bearings straight. But guys, I'm excited to spend 30 minutes with you guys with none other than Ryan Brittian, the king of Britain. Guys, I'm excited. We're going to talk about back to the basics. Basically, if you've ever felt like you're in a slump or you're in a slump or you're about to go through a slump, it happens, right? And what I love about Ryan is that he's been here for 4 years. He's produced at a high level. He's built at a high level. He's gone through all of the ups and downs and everything in between. And I really think that he can talk to you guys this morning, leave you better than we found you, get some nuggets, even some stories, guys, and to know that we all go through these things and what we can do if we are in a slump, how we can get out of that. And so Ryan, without further ado, let me go ahead and change this view mode. Hold on one second. I have ADD sometimes, and I see too many of you guys right now. So Ryan, what's up?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
I can.
All right. I appreciate you having me on this morning.
Yes. And so it's like back to the basics, but like back to the
I last minute tried to put together a Marty McFly outfit to wear today, but Goodwill wasn't helping me out. So I'm dressed normally.
Well, I love it. And, today is just kind of more like conversational about getting back to those basics. So talk to me, Ryan. What do we need to hear today to make us better?
Well, I mean, to be completely honest, getting back to the basics is more about mindset than anything else, because the training that we received when we first got hired, that hasn't changed. The 10 steps haven't changed. The standards are still the same. So from personal experience, I think what changes is your mindset. It's definitely easy to start slowly taking away things from your presentation or stop doing the things that made you successful in the first place. And next thing you know, you're in a slump. And in reality, it's just because you forgot the habits that brought you success in the first place. So unfortunately, this is something that I have struggled with. Like you said, I've been here for 4 years. I've had good times. I've also had pity pot times where I sit on my pity pot. And if you're not careful, it's really hard to climb out of that. You can get so low on your pity pot that you can't pull yourself out. So I kind of compiled some questions that I asked myself to help me get off the pity pot and back to the basics and back to what made me successful and, try and get back to that.
So Crystal is putting in the chat, potty pals.
That's right. She's my potty pal.
But no, I think that is so crucial is that we get so in our heads that we like everything is fogged up, right? And you're right. Like if it's like a child that sits on the toilet, and if you're not careful, they need some help getting out of that pity pot, And if we're not careful, like you said, the things that made us successful in the first place, the things that we were gung-ho about, the things that we were excited about, the things that we knew worked, right? We did those. And then one little negative thought, oh, I don't need to do that anymore. I don't understand why that's important for me to do. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So I'm not going to do it. And then before you know it, you're like way over here in far left field versus right where you were, where you needed to be. And it's always just one or two small tweaks. So if that's you right now, and you're like, you know what, I really want to hit this 10K club, or I really want to strive. I've been hitting the 10K club, but I feel like I'm stagnant in the 10K club, and you want to go to the 20K club. What you need to ask yourself those questions, like, what am I not doing? Because it starts with us first. It doesn't start with anybody else. It doesn't start with anything else but us, because we're the only ones that can change anything about us or our situations. We can have help, but we're the only ones, right? And so what are some of those things? You said that you compiled questions. Talk to us about these questions that you asked yourself.
Well, first off, you have to be honest with yourself when you ask these questions. You're asking these questions to yourself. You're not asking them to me. You're not asking them to your coach. So it doesn't do you any good to make up answers to these questions. Be honest with yourself. Okay, this is the time for reflection, pointing the finger back at you. It really kind of revolves around the things that we coach on: lead, schedule, communication, presentation. Are you putting in the activity, or are you phoning it in? Are you communicating with your coach on a regular basis? Are you asking for accountability and keeping up with your tracker? Are you making a schedule and sticking with it? Are you buying new leads? all of these things are things that we coach on. You knew this when you came on. But you have to be honest with yourself. Are you pulling up to a house and you're seeing too many cars in the driveway and you're saying, oh, well, I'll hit them later this afternoon when there's not as many cars because I don't want somebody to interrupt my presentation? Are you driving by a house and not seeing cars and saying, oh, well, they're not home, so I'll swing back by? Somebody else is driving by that house and seeing all those cars in the driveway and saying, hey, I want to go to this house because there's 5 people that I could present to. Somebody is seeing that house that doesn't have cars in the driveway and saying, hey, Miss Johnson doesn't drive, so I've got a captive audience. So the time that you're wasting driving around from house to house, be honest with your activity. You put in 12 approaches on your tracker. Are you actually talking to 12 people? Or are you driving by and imagining the conversations that you would have had with those 12 people? Because if you're doing 12 approaches and you've got 0 presentations, A, your door approach stinks, or B, you're not being honest with yourself. So I think, in order to get back to the basics, get back to being successful, you genuinely have to be honest with yourself and answer those questions honestly. Otherwise, you really don't want it. So I think the first thing is being honest with yourself and figuring out, hey, I'm the problem.
That's like the Taylor Swift, hey, it's me.
I was going to sing it, but
I'm singing it for you.
I don't want everybody to step off right now.
I remember when we had a conversation, like you were in your first 6 months and we were talking about activity, and you had this coming to Jesus moment of like, you know what, I'm saying that I'm doing 5 presentations and I'm not doing 5 presentations, because we were like, there's no way that you could be doing 5 presentations without having in and outs, without having some type of ability to have something to coach on. And so guys, be honest with yourself. Like he said, are you actually going to those houses, or are you also working harder than you need to? Ryan, was it hard for you to do in and outs in the beginning? Yes or no?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So exactly. But by doing those things, I know we harp on it, like that helps, because number one, it's with accountability. Hey, you're in that home. B, you're asking for help. And that's where you will actually see change if you're consistently doing that, right? But so many people, that's the number one step that they want to skip, that and the carrier review call. Seriously, I don't know what it is. And those are like 2 of the most important steps that you can do. But let's talk about accountability. Okay. So,
yeah.
I like these questions that you're asking, and I might want to go in depth a little bit more on some of these. And I might want to write them in the chat here in a second. But for you, when you ask for accountability, what does accountability look like for you? Because it's different for everybody, but what does that look like for you?
So you and I have talked about this because that's something that I struggle with. I feel like sometimes when I'm doing good, I don't need help. So you might not hear from me for a little while when I'm doing well. I'm also kind of stubborn. And so when I run into a problem, I think I can fix it. And so I find myself waiting until I'm so deep that I need to ask for help. And in reality, all it takes is just checking in once a week. Even when you don't think you need help, when you think that you're doing well, share those moments of victory with your coach, whoever it is, whoever that is that holds you accountable. But I think the more people you tell what your goal is, at least for me, the more people I tell, hey, I'm going for 5K this week. This is my schedule this week. The more people I have to hold me accountable, just checking in, saying, hey, how are you doing with your goal? You don't want to let people down, right? So I think a lot of it is just being honest with yourself, and then telling as many people as you can what your goal is and asking them to hold you accountable. I know that I've scheduled, time to talk with you once a week so that I can check in on my goals and be more accountable, and hopefully prevent me from getting into those slumps.
I think what you said too is like, accountability should not be pulling teeth from your coach. If your coach is literally, 2 things are going to happen. Your coach is going to feel like they're pulling from you accountability that you should be asking from your coach, because again, this is your business. Do you want to be successful or not? Then you need to reach out to the people that are there to help you. I'm going to start reading this book, Extreme Ownership. I'm excited. Amy Cooksey's husband gave it to me, but it's got to start with you. That accountability starts with you versus someone having to pull it out of you. But how many of you guys are like, I haven't talked to my coach, but when was the last time that you actually reached out and said, hey, can I have accountability? Do you actually want it? Is it in theory that you want accountability, but when the accountability actually like is a thing, you change your mind? you got to get used to the accountability if you really truly want to hit the goals, and having that transparency with your coach, right? But it shouldn't be pulling teeth. What are some of those other questions that you had? Let me go ahead and say them slow.
Yeah. Are you following all the steps of the presentation? Are you cutting straight to life insurance? Maybe once or twice you had a lay down sale that just wanted life insurance and you felt like you could get used to that. And by the way, can I say everything that I'm asking, I genuinely ask myself. I'm not stepping on toes that haven't already been stepped on. So that was something that I did. I started skipping steps. And to your point at the very beginning, next thing you know, you look back and you're 5 miles away from where you're supposed to be because it was a subtle, gradual change, right? You stop spending as much time in step 3 and connecting with your clients and figuring out some of their pain points, and you started jumping straight into life insurance. Well, you've missed an entire part of the presentation. No wonder they don't trust you. No wonder they don't want to give you banking information, because you didn't find where the value lied in that client. So go back to steps 1 through 3. Take your time, connect with your clients, make sure you're doing proper underwriting in step 3. That's going to save you time. Maybe you've had an issue with persistency and placement. And a lot of that comes from not taking the time to do proper underwriting. Again, all of this, Laura is a genius, because she will ask you to run a Zoom call on something that you struggle with. And it definitely, in the process of preparing for it, makes you aware of some of your pitfalls. So like I said, I'm not stepping on any toes that haven't already been stepped on here. But the easy thing to do, if you're not doing all of the steps in your presentation, the easy thing to do is to blame the client. Oh, they're dumb, broke, sick, or covered, which that's true, right? Typically, if you can't make a sale, it's because, when I say dumb, I don't mean like stupid, but some folks are just, gosh, I could save you $5,000, Miss Johnson. Are you dumb? But it's easy to write them off and say, oh, they're dumb, broke, sick, or covered. This batch of leads is bad. I hate digital leads, or I don't like check leads, or I don't like Facebook leads. That's the easy thing to do, right? Blame the lead, blame the client. But in reality, you're skipping steps. That's the reason why you're doing 15 presentations and only closing 1, right? So go back to the basics. Seniority does not give you immunity, right? It does not matter. 4 years in, it's easy to trick yourself to believe I should not have this struggle. I should not be having to do this much work for this much activity, right? It's easy to trick yourself, but it does not matter how good you are. It's not like riding a bike. You don't just get back on it and you go. So you take a couple of weeks off for vacation, and then you're having a hard time getting into houses. Guess what? You're having to rebuild your momentum. One thing I've noticed is every time you move around, you're having to rebuild momentum in a new place, right? So I might work in Durham for a couple of weeks, and then when I feel like I've kind of tapped that area for a little bit, or I need a change of scenery, I'll go somewhere else. But I understand, hey, if I'm moving to a new city, I'm going to have to rebuild the momentum in that city. I'm going to have to put delivery notices out. I'm going to have to be knocking. I'm going to have to be setting appointments. I'm not just going to get 10 presentations and 10 closes on the first day. So keep in mind, when you take time off, it's not riding a bicycle. You have to rebuild that momentum. You have to knock the rust off, and you have to get back into it. And I think, at least for me, it's easy to feel like I shouldn't have to do that, because I've been here 4 years. I know my presentation. I know my door approach. That hasn't changed. So I shouldn't have to rebuild the momentum. And that's a lie that you tell yourself. You do. You have to build the momentum. You have to go through all the steps. You're not special. I'm sorry. I know your mom told you were, but in this case, you're not. You have to do everything that everybody else does, which, as a new agent, that should be, encouraging, honestly, because the people that have been here for 4, 5, 6 years, they're having to do the same process that you're doing, right? So it's not some magic thing that happens. Once you've been here for 2 years, you don't have to put the activity anymore. People just come to you. Now that happens, right? You get referrals, you get good at referrals, you get good at repeat business, but you still have to put in that activity. So making sure that you're following all steps of the presentation, I think is important. You're not, seniority doesn't build immunity.
Guys, like, I love that. Seniority does not build immunity. And just because you've been here a while and you've been through the same struggle doesn't mean you don't still need coaching in it. Doesn't mean that you don't still need to reach out and say, hey, I'm still struggling with this step of the presentation. I'm still struggling with my mindset, right? And what you need to do is continuing that self-reflection, because if it's still the same struggle, you have to build that momentum, but you have to realize that you have a success cycle. What is your success cycle? Is it 3 months of doing great and then you fall into a slump and it's a mindset thing? Well, then you need to write that down, and that is your success cycle. And you need to break it. If you want to go to the next level, you need to break that, right? If you want to, but it's so crazy though, but it truly is all about the basics. That one small thing that like he's saying is, even from building building up that momentum, no matter what, like if I go out in the field, I'm going on Wednesday, I have to prepare that. I have to, that's why I do those 2 before 2, right? 2 presentations before 2 p.m. to get that bare minimum standard in sooner rather than later, so I can have more momentum in my day, right? It's so important. Let's see here. Anything else, Ryan? That was really, really great. Anything else? Separate question.
Well, I've got another point, if that's all right.
Go to that next point. Yeah. I'm leaning in. I'm loving it.
So honestly, I think this one is the most important. Okay. You've got to make sure you're being honest with yourself, asking those tough questions, make sure you're following all the steps, working the system. Don't need to reinvent the wheel. But I really feel like the biggest part is you have to reevaluate your why. Why are you doing this? What is pulling you out of bed? Some people think that your why is just this humongous big dream. Like, I want a mountain house in Tennessee with, rolling acres. And that's nice. But let's be real, on crappy days when you can't get in a door, you don't care about the mountain house in Tennessee. All you care about is the house you got now with the couch and the TV, right? So that's not a good why. It's a good dream. It's a good goal, but it's not a why. Your why has to be deeper. Your why has to honestly, for me, my why had to be my purpose, right? My why, I had to reevaluate my purpose. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a brother, I'm a son, I'm a friend. And all those roles and titles are fulfilling, but they also come with responsibilities, right? And so it's easy to get caught in the day-to-day, like, hey, I'm being a dad, I'm being a husband, I'm being a brother, I'm being a friend, I'm being a worker, right? I'm just getting up and I stick to my schedule. I go to work every day. But it's easy to get lost in the routine of doing all that stuff. And then next thing you know, you look up and you don't know why you're doing it. And again, I'm saying this because I've felt this. And anytime I've gone into a slump, ultimately, my purpose was what I forgot. I forgot why I'm here. I'm here to make a living, and I would assume that every single person that's here is here to make good money, right? Wherever you were before this, you were unhappy with your money, you were unhappy with your schedule, and so you came here. And I would say that most of you probably make a lot more money than you used to make, and you probably have a lot more time than you used to have. And there are good things and bad things to that. The good thing is obviously you get to spend more time with your family. The bad thing is you can forget that freedom comes at a cost, right? You have to earn it. So it's easy to say, well, I'm worth more than just clocking in for a paycheck and living to pay bills. So I'm going to go and I'm just going to be free. And next thing you know, you spent all your money. You haven't worked in 3 weeks and you've got commission breath. So I think it's important to remember your purpose when you do that. For me, just personally, I feel that it's important to reflect on that. I spend some time in prayer. That's how I find my purpose is, what God's purpose is for me. That's something that I've gotten away from. And it's easy to do when you make a lot of money, you have a lot of time, you feel like you've got it and you can run it. But in reality, I can't. The only person that can help me go where I need to be is God. And so it took some reflecting for me to figure out what my purpose was. My purpose, I believe, is relationships, building relationships with my wife, building relationships with my family, building relationships with my friends. half of my friends and family are on this call, um, building relationships with every senior that I come in contact with. Every day that you go out, every person that you sit with, I believe, again, I'm not projecting my purpose onto anybody else, but I believe that every single person I come across every day, there's a reason they cross my path, even if that's a clerk at a gas station, if that's somebody I held a door for at the grocery store, if it's a client that I'm sitting with. And so just trying to figure out, what is your purpose for that person's life? Why were you brought across their life? You might not make a sale, but Ms. Johnson might needed to hear your voice. Ms. Johnson might needed somebody to talk to. The person at the gas station that you smile and tell them that they're wearing a nice shirt. Who knows what they're going through at life, and that one compliment is what it took. So I believe your purpose is much bigger than your roles and your titles. I think your purpose is much bigger than how much money you make and how much time you're able to spend with your family. I believe that your purpose, number one, it comes from gratitude, being grateful for what you have, right? I know not even 7 years ago, and I have a prayer journal that I wrote down in, where I literally wrote down and prayed for all of the things that I have right now. And so for me to sit here and be upset about what I have, right? For me to be like, oh, I don't have enough. I don't have this. I don't have that. I prayed hard for the stuff that I have right now. So being grateful for what you have, because I'd be willing to bet that most of you prayed for some of the things that you have right now too, that you're complaining about at the moment. So being grateful for it. Number two, I feel like you can be happy wherever you're at by trying to make an impact in somebody else's life, right? Again, even if it's just making a compliment on somebody's shoes, or saying something nice to somebody at the grocery store, I think that you can bring a lot more fulfillment into your life by trying to impact somebody else's life positively. And we have an amazing opportunity to do that here. I mean, think about it. We're sitting down with people that may have been neglected, they haven't talked to their families in months. And you're going to sit down and you're going to be a listening ear for them. You're going to listen to their pain points. You're going to try and help them. It's easy to get caught up in the AP, to get caught up in the commissions, to get caught up in the promotions. And for me, that is sometimes why I end up on my pity pot when I miss a promotion, when I don't hit the AP goal. But I feel like all that stuff is ancillary compared to my purpose. When I focus on my purpose, what is my purpose? My purpose is to bring light to people, is to make people happy, to make people laugh, right? If you follow me on Facebook, that's all it is dad jokes, and that's, for me, obviously I'm cheesy, but I also enjoy making other people laugh. I like making people smile. So that's my purpose, right? Is to build those relationships. And so when I'm having a bad day, if I focus on the AP, I'm going to be let down. If I focus on the commission, I'm going to be let down. If I focus on the promotion, I'm going to be let down. If I focus on my purpose, that stuff sucks. But guess what? I'm fulfilling my purpose. I made somebody smile today. I made a difference in somebody's life today. I improved my relationship with my children or my wife. I texted Kaylin and told her that she was beautiful. I texted my son and said, I love you, bud. I just wanted to let you know, randomly in the middle of the day. If you focus on your purpose, bad days don't seem as bad, right? And good days seem extremely amazing. So I think it's important to ask yourself all of these questions, right? What is your why? Are you following all the steps? And are you being honest with yourself? I'd be willing to bet the majority of you that find yourself in a slump, you could quickly dig out of it if you are honest with all of those questions, and then not only be honest with the questions, but take action on your answers, right? If you get an answer that you don't like, take action on it, right? So if you're not doing those things, you got to take action, because I think we've talked about it quite a few times. Knowledge without action means nothing. You can know all the stuff in the world, but if you're not applying these Zoom calls, if you're not applying the conference calls in the morning to your everyday activity, then it doesn't do anything. You're wasting the time. You're wasting, your ability. You have all of the knowledge. And I want to say to everybody on this call, because I say it a lot to folks on my team, I know for a fact, because we were all trained by the same people. We all have the same training. I know you know what you're doing. So those of you that are struggling with confidence today, you know what you're talking about. You have the knowledge. You have the ability. You are capable. Go out there, be confident in yourself, be confident in your ability, be confident in the knowledge that you're taught, and go apply it. And I'd be willing to bet if you focus on your purpose over some of these other things, all that other stuff, all the things that you want will fall into place. When you're doing what you're supposed to do and you're focusing on your purpose, all these other things that you want, the AP, the commissions, the promotions, they will all come. Every promotion that I've ever hit did not come when I was so stressed out that I just focused on the AP. It did not come with that. Every promotion that I've got was focusing on somebody else's needs, whether that's the clients to hit AG2 and AG1. I focused on my clients, focused on how many people can I help today. That was what got me my first 2 promotions. Sales manager, it was focusing on other people's goals. What can I do to make other people successful? And not worrying about what that does to my success. And it's easy for me to get away from that. And I'm guilty. Again, pity pot, right? I get down on myself because I'm thinking, oh, well, I'm not getting what I want. I don't have this. I don't have that. And reality is, how can I help somebody else get what they want? And guess what? That comes naturally. Take a look around at the people around you. I believe that everybody that is in your life right now, whether that's somebody that's been brought to your team, whether you've been brought to somebody else's team, there's a reason you're here. There's a reason. Sorry if you can hear my dog scratching his collar right now. He's got an itch that he can't scratch. I genuinely believe that your path is crossed for a reason. Bloom where you're planted, right? And it doesn't matter where you are. The purpose doesn't change. Doesn't matter if you're in a bad season, the purpose didn't change. Doesn't matter if you're in a good season, the purpose doesn't change. So bloom where you're planted because the purpose is the same.
Can we just drop a mic? Because I am just blown away. And I don't know about you, but I'm ready to just go and do whatever I'm supposed to do wholeheartedly. You know, that's one of the things that I've tried to live by, like you say, is whatever you do it wholeheartedly, you know, and do it from a grateful heart. It's so easy to get, because all of the ruts are here. They're mental ruts, they're mindset ruts that we're not, all it does is it drags us down. It causes us unnecessary stress that if we were to be outside looking in, we'd say, why, you know? And so from gratitude and be happy wherever you're at, because wherever you're at, you can make an impact. So today, if you're struggling, ask yourself, where can I make an impact today? Where can I make, don't focus on getting out of the rut. Don't focus on you missing the mark. Focus on what can I do today that's going to help someone else get out of yourself. I know that sounds so cheesy, right? Go do something for someone else, but it is so true. A question that I started asking myself to be able to ask other people, because my word for the year is synergy. And it's like wanting that. And it seems like the more you want it, the more things that come against you and that you have to overcome. It's asking, if you're a manager on here, where can I support you? Right? Asking someone, and they might not know the answer yet, right? But that'll get them thinking, and it helps you realize, well, where can I support this person? Where can I support this team? And then ask yourself, for you, like as an agent, where do you need support? Where do you need support? Just the same questions that he's asking, Ryan is asking, where do you need support? And then just saying, this is where you need support, right? I think is huge. Striving, you know, if you're always worried, that's the word that came to my mind when you were talking. It's just this always striving, always striving, always trying. Take the pressure off of yourself. Take the pressure off of yourself. And like Ryan said, like you have the tools, you have everything inside of you, you have the knowledge, you have all that. Take that pressure off, the striving, and just go do your absolute best today. Whatever that looks like, just do your best and be happy with that best. And when you go to bed at night, you let it roll. Don't take in everything home. And just whatever you do it wholeheartedly. Let me go ahead and mute somebody that's off of mute. Who's off of mute? I don't know who it is. Anyway, I hope that helped somebody. I'm going to go today and just have a grateful, thankful heart. I appreciate you, Ryan. It is 9:30 on the dot. Any last words that you might have?
You guys are all great. Go out there and kick butt. If you're feeling like you're in a slump, you're not alone. We've all been there. Don't live there. Get out of it. You've got the tools. You can do it. Love you guys.
Ciao.